Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, you all know I worked at Silo of Screams this year in the haunted house, and while I didn't do an official video for them, I was kind of given permission to shoot video inside the haunted house. And this isn't going to be a typical one where I just walk you through one particular haunted house. I was actually in the maze called the Incinerator this year, and basically I just shot some of the stuff that happened while I was in the room that I was in, and tried to get stuff from different angles. And this is going to be kind of a clip video. It's going to be like America's Funniest Home Videos, where I'm going to get in there and introduce you to the clip and explain what you're going to see and show you some of the different things that happened, and hopefully you'll enjoy this one. Let's go. Now, the first thing you have to do when you're in a new maze is kind of figure out what your routine is. You got to figure out what areas you can hide in, what areas, what parts of the room you can take advantage of, what props you can use and how you can use them, and just things that you can do to be generally kind of creepy. Now, this was my first time in the Incinerator, and the theme of the Incinerator is it's sort of a post-apocalyptic nightmare. It's Mad Max meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it's a bunch of people that were like butchering people, and that was the theme of the whole thing. So part of the deal was being really creepy, and I had this machete in one hand and that thing that I built out of that piece of iron a couple weeks ago in my other hand. I'd bang it on something and then jump out at people. But I also have kind of this creepy behavior where I kind of run up to the people and like get really right in their face and kind of look around and tip my head and look at them from a different angle, kind of give them a creepy feeling. And that was sort of what I had to do in order to figure out how to best exploit this room and get the most screams, because that's really what this is all about. Alright, now the room I was in this year is called the Grinder. The room is probably 15 feet by 15 feet square, and right in the middle of the room there's this big metal something. It's probably, it probably goes all the way to the ceiling, and it's probably 6 or 8 feet by 6 or 8 feet. So you walk in, this thing's right in front of you, you gotta walk around it, and then there's another door in the back end that gives you get out. Now, right as you walked into this room, there was a great animatronic thing that John put on the wall. It looked like a dismembered corpse, and basically it was hanging way up on the wall, and it had hydraulics or pneumatics in it. When somebody walked in, it would wiggle around and scream horrifically. And so that was always a good early warning sign that something was coming, because then you could hide in the far end of the room and know when somebody was coming into the room, because that thing got triggered and that thing made a lot of noise, and that was your cue to get ready. And I want to show you what that thing looks like, because that thing was pretty cool. Now, there's basically 3 kinds of people you're going to run into in a haunted house like this. The first one are the people that are generally scared, and those are the ones that you want to go after. Those are the ones that are the most fun, the ones that are screaming and running and yelling and absolutely terrified out of their gourd. Those are the ones that are the most fun. But you also got the people that enjoy it on kind of a humorous level, and so they're sitting there laughing all the way through. And then you get the third group of people that just kind of stare at you like you're not even there. It's like, what are you doing? And those are really the least fun, because you don't really get anything out of them. You don't know if they got anything out of it, and they just kind of walk through there. It's like they're not even really enjoying it. But unfortunately, you get a few of those, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now, sometimes one of the secrets you can exploit is, if it's a big group, there's wisdom in knowing when to cut your losses, because maybe that first part of that group isn't responding very well. But if you cut your losses and start going after the back part of the group, you sometimes get a better reaction. Now, there aren't necessarily guests in the room with you every moment. You have periods where there's nobody in the room because one group has fallen behind or something like that in the maze. And so at that point, one of the things you want to do is come up with ways to make the rest of the maze have kind of a creepy sound to it. And one of the things I discovered is that there's a lot of metal in that building, and with that metal rod that I had, there were all sorts of scary sounds I could make. Now, one of the things that happens in these mazes, there's a lot of places you can hide and you can see the guests, but they can't see you. And one of the things you want to look for when you're in there is groups that are all huddled together, where there's one person in the front who's the designated sacrifice, and then everyone else is holding on and grabbing onto the person in front of them, and they're moving in a group. And you know if you can get one of them, you're going to get all of them. And that's probably one of the most fun things about being in a maze like this. Now, among those that get really afraid, there's a group that unleashes on you with a string of profanity whenever they get scared. Those are fun too. I'm going to show you that. Don't worry, I bleeped it. Now, some of the best scares come when you team up with your fellow cast members. In this clip, another cast member already had the guests screaming, panicking, and running when they ran into me. Now, one of the things you have to learn to do if you're going to do this effectively is you got to learn how to pick your victim. You got to look at a group of people and figure out who's the one that's going to react the most to this. And once you identify who that person is, you get in their face. You're in front of them, you're blocking them from going wherever you want, because you're going to prolong their terror, and that's the best part. This next clip is probably my favorite one. It turns out I scared these people so bad, they turned around, ran back out to the front of the maze, and of course I chased them. I at one point got in front of them, cut them off, turned them back, chased them back into my maze, went all the way through my room, and chased them out. That was awesome. So I think we're kind of coming to the end of our little clip episode. I hope you enjoyed this. I had a blast this year at Silo of Screams. In fact, I told John the last night I was there that I had more fun this year than any time I've ever been there. In the past, I've been kind of in places that had limited scare opportunities, and so you know, yeah, I got a few screams and all that, but the places I've been, like in the dentist or in the Her Wicked Way maze, where I'm, you know, the people come, they see me before I get their chance to respond, and sometimes the best scares come with the jump scares, and there generally isn't a lot of opportunity for that in some of the places I've been. But this year there were jump scares galore, and by the end of the last night I had really dialed in my routine to the point where, you know, 95 to 98% of the time I made people scream when I jumped out at them. So I'm looking forward to going back and doing this again. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Happy Halloween.